කියපුවන්. Education is what we are going to have a look at in today's lesson. ඉතින් අධ්‍යාපනය ගැන තමයි අද අපි මේ lesson එකේ focus කරන්න යන්නේ. Right? So education. Practice question 1, my school. Right? Think about a school you attended. Discuss the topics in the mind map below about your school. So you have to talk about the name, location, කොහෙද තිබ්බේ, quality of education, characteristics, හැබැයි නිකන් ඒව නෙවෙයි, unique ones, the ones which are different, වෙනස්, අනිත් ඉස්කෝල ඔක්කොම වෙනස් වෙන එක. Your favorite memories, කැමතිම මතක, your favorite teachers and classes, right? So you can talk about your own school, right? මේක නම් හරිම ලේසි සහ අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම බලා ගන්න ඕන එකක්, because for IELTS about yourself, work, school, studies, these things could come up. So please have a look at it. Okay? Now, are there any adjectives from the list above you would never use to describe a school? If so, why not? I mean, frustrating, would you use the word frustrating? I don't know. So fun, yes, school was probably fun, right? Boring is negative. Exciting is fun. Magical, මම නම් use කරන්නේ ඒ වචන නම් I would not use a magical thing, because in school there's nothing magical, so I would not use that, right? Challenging, yes. Magical doesn't fit the context. මට නම් I feel it doesn't fit the context, right? Frustrating also we would not use it, but sometimes you can say the distance to travel to school was really frustrating. I mean, you wouldn't really use it to talk about a school, right? But if you want to explain certain things, maybe about the facilities, yes, sometimes, right? Okay, so what are the most and least important characteristics for teachers to have? Rank them in 1 to 6. ඕගොල්ලන්ට හිතන විදියට රෑන්ක් කරන්න, මම මට හිතන විදියට රෑන්ක් කරන්න, right? Inspiring, compassionate, knowledgeable, fair, entertaining, qualified. So I think being fair is my least one. Entertaining is probably then, right? I think they should definitely be knowledgeable. They should be inspiring. They should be qualified and compassionate. Mama hitana vidiyata. You can rank them. Number 1, I feel they should be knowledgeable. They should inspire children. Be obviously qualified. Compassionate, entertaining and fair are the least qualities I would expect. Right. Discuss the following. Were you a good student at school? Why do you say so? I don't know. This is what I feel, right? So I feel that I was a good student at school. I used to go to school on time. I participated in a lot of extracurricular activities. I rarely got myself into trouble at school. I wouldn't say I did, right? But I rarely got into trouble at school. So I would say I was a good student. What are the 3 most important subjects you had, school subjects you had? Do you think foreign languages should be taught at school? So until O-levels, I think the main or important subjects I had was maths, Sinhala language, and science. But after O-levels, when I did A-levels, the 3 most important subjects was biology, chemistry and physics. Do you think they should be taught foreign language? I definitely think they should be taught a foreign language. The reason is later on in your life, it could be quite useful. Because now I see when you go into international schools or private schools, they learn Spanish, they learn Chinese, Japanese, Tamil, different languages. So it's really useful. Now, Tamil might not necessarily be a foreign language, but even though it's been spoken in Sri Lanka, a lot of us don't know it unless it's their mother tongue. So I think it's a good thing to teach these languages, different languages at an early age so that when they grow up, it will be quite useful. The other reason is because we live in a multicultural environment, being able to communicate in one's native language would be quite useful, right? Can you remember a great teacher from school? What made him or her a great teacher? So I've had many good teachers, right? But out of all, I remember Miss Ira, who was one of our English teachers. She was also my English literature teacher. So she was one of these teachers who was really loving, kind, caring, and she had great subject knowledge. She was able to teach us really well that I would actually vividly remember this. In Oliver Twist, there was a character called Fagin. So I vividly remember Fagin of how she described his features. So I think to date, and we had short stories, the necklace. I still remember those thanks to her. And I started actually enjoying the language when she started teaching. I'm not saying everyone else is bad, okay? But she had a real different sense of teaching. Apart from that, there was another really good teacher we had for English again during I-level time. She was Mrs. Sudharma Kakulavala. So if I have anything to do with drama, speech, all of that, she was the one who was able to take those things out of me and bring them into a live picture. So those two teachers are the two teachers that I remember so well. And I think they were really inspiring and compassionate about their job. Right. So it's not just one, I had two. So let's have a look at your education. Are you trying to learn anything these days? Is there something you want to study? Yes, I want to start reading for my PhD. So I want to do my DBA, Doctorate in Business Administration. So I'm trying to sit down to do a bit of readings and start off. But unfortunately, I haven't made a lot of progress. Do you enjoy learning new things? Give an example and explain. I do love learning new things. For an example, when I joined into a new university, there was a whole new setup, like a new software where we had to learn. And I think I like learning new things. Even from a lot of young teachers I learn who are younger to me because they're quite tech savvy. And I love learning new things from people. Does studying make you tired? Studying never makes me tired. Is it hard work? Yes, it is, but I always believe that hard work pays off well. How can a student get energy for studying? I think when you're studying, it's important that you have a good plan. You should have a timetable or you should plan your day out. The most important thing is that you have a good sleep. You eat well, you drink plenty of water, and you study. But apart from studying, you should also have some time for your social life. Talk to your friends, go online, go out for dinner. So your social life and your study life, you should be able to balance both really well. If that is the case, you will be able to have a lot of energy to study. Who has taught you a lot in your life? I think it is my father who has taught me a lot in my life. What things, if any, have you learned without teachers or formal education? I think way of life, how to live is what we learn without any formal education, right? So how we interact with people, non-verbal communication, the relationships, the customs, the rituals, we learn unknowingly. I think අපිට formal education එකක් නැතුව අපි ඉගෙන ගන්න දේවල් තමයි සම්බන්ධතා පවත්වන්නේ කොහොමද, කතා කරන විදි, එතකොට අපිට සමහරක් වෙලට මිනිස්සුම තේරුම් ගැනීමේ හැකියාව, ඒ ඔක්කොම එන්නේ formal education එකෙන් නෙවෙයි. අපි හැදෙන වැඩෙන පරිසරය, දකින දේවල් වලින්, චාරිත්‍ර වාරිත්‍රය ඔක්කොම අපිට එන්නේ අපි සමාජයත් එක්ක, පවුලේ අයත් එක්ක, අපේ තියෙන වටපිටාවත් එක්ක හැසිරෙන එතකොට. So I believe that not everything in your life could you get through teachers or formal education, right? What's your learning style? So you have different learners who have different learning styles. You have auditory learners, visual learners, and kinesthetic learners. Auditory කියන්නේ ඇහිලා learn කරන අය. Visual කියන්නේ දැකලා learn කරන අය. Kinesthetic කියන්නේ කරලා learn කරන අය. I'm a mix of all three. So I need auditory, visual, and kinesthetic learning. Do you learn best by listening, reading, doing things, or by some other method? So as I told you, all three, right? Do you prefer to spend time with people of a similar level of education of yourself? Why or why not? I mean, I don't really consider education when I spend time with people. All I consider is that they should have a big heart. Big heart can loko heart එකක් නෙවෙයි, kind, හොඳ වෙන්න ඕනේ. If they have a big heart, that's it, okay? Education does not draw your line. You don't have to be educated. Sometimes people who don't have formal education, who have studied up to 7th grade, 6th grade, can be really successful, right? Formal education does not guarantee you success. So as long as a person has a big heart and I can learn from them, my friendship is down to that. Do you think you received a good education? I did, I believe. I studied among the most top schools in Sri Lanka. So I believe I had a very good education and I can't complain about it. There are many educational resources online, including full university classes. Have you used the internet to learn? Give an example. I have. So when I joined in as a lecturer, we had modules to learn. It was an online course. Yes, I've studied online to learn about teaching methods, about student culture, motivating students, giving feedback. So I've done a lot of online modules to enhance my knowledge, and I believe it's quite useful. ඕගොල්ලොත් උත්තර දෙන්න ඕනේ ඕගොල්ලොන්ට පුළුවන් විදියට. බෑ කියලා එකක් නැහැ. මම උත්තර දෙනවා වගේ ඕගොල්ලොන්ටත් උත්තර දෙන්න. right? මම ලියන්නේ නැත්තේ හැමදේම ලියලා කතා කරන්න බෑ අපිට. සිංහලෙන් ලියලා කතා කරන්න පුළුවන්ද අපිට? බෑනේ. ඒ වගේ තමයි ඉංග්‍රීසියෙන්. හෙමින් කතා කරන්න, then you will be okay. Right? Practice question 3. Education is vital. How important is education? I think education is really important, right? කියන්න පුළුවන්ද? Yes, you can. For me, but personally, මම නම් really important කියන්නේ. I would say education is important for a person for a certain extent. Like if you want qualifications, then yes, education is important. But you could also get education not like through the formal channels, but through society, culture, neighbors, friends, and that education is important for you to operate and to be successful in society, right? Should an education prepare people for work or for life? දෙක හිතන්න. වැඩටද නැත්නම් ජීවිතයටද? What is the main purpose of education? මම නම් හිතන්නේ දෙකටම ලෑස්ති කරන්න ඕනේ. ජීවිතේ ජීවත් වෙන්නත්, වැඩට යන්නත්, ඒ දෙකටම අපේ අධ්‍යාපනය අපිව පුරුදු කරන්න ඕනේ. නැත්නම් පීඩනය දරා ගන්න බැරි වෙනකොට බෙල්ල වැරදා ගන්නවා නැත්නම් අපි වැරදි වැඩ කරනවා. ඒ හින්දා ජීවිතයටත් අපි සූදානම් කරන්න ඕනේ හැම කෙනාවම. Does your country have a good education system? What are its strengths and weaknesses? ඉතින් ලංකාවේ හොඳ අධ්‍යාපන ක්‍රමයක් තියෙනවද? ඒකේ තියෙන හොඳ සහ නරක මොනවද? Is the standard of education getting better or worse? ඉතින් ලංකාවේ අධ්‍යාපන ක්‍රමය එන්න හොඳ වෙනවද? එන්න නරක වෙනවද? So you can answer these questions. Should education be free? අධ්‍යාපනය නොමිලේ ලබා දිය යුතුද? Are teachers paid enough? ගුරුවරුන්ට ඇති වෙන්න පඩියක් දෙනවද? Do you think there is enough discipline in schools today? අද ඉස්කෝලවල් වල හොඳ discipline එකක් තියෙනවද? Should corporal punishment be allowed in schools? Are school uniforms a good idea? ඉතින් අපි corporal punishment එක දිය යුතුද? Uniform එකක් ඉස්කෝලේ තිබිය යුතුද? Can technology help improve the standard of education? තාක්ෂණයට පුළුවන්ද රටක තියෙන අධ්‍යාපන ක්‍රමය වැඩි කරන්න? I feel so. That's what we are doing, right? That's what I'm also doing. Uplifting the level of education can be done. Now, if I was at home and teaching, I would teach to a limited number of students. But when you have technology, you can teach to a larger audience of people, and that would really uplift the level of education. Should students be allowed to use mobile phones in class? It depends, okay? So I'm a lecturer, I allow them to use it in positive ways. We do Padlet, we do Quizlet, right? I do mini activities with them in class. So I think how you use it will encourage them, is it positive or negative? So I, of course, let them use it in class. And I also believe I don't draw boundaries. එපා කියන්නේ. මොකද ළමයි තේරුම් ගන්න ඕනේ කොයි වෙලාවටද අපි ෆෝන් එක පාවිච්චි කරන්න ඕනේ කියන එක. මොකද මම උගන්වන්නේ පොඩි වයසේ කට්ටියට නෙවෙයි. So මම ටීචර් කෙනෙක් නෙවෙයිනේ, I'm a lecturer. So මගේ ළමයින්ට තේරෙනවා. Now if you're teaching younger children, maybe you need to draw a line. With my kids, I draw a line because ඒගොල්ලන්ට තාම තේරෙන්නේ නැති හින්දා. So it depends on where you have to let them go loose or do you pull them closer at the right time. හැමතිස්සෙම ළඟිට ගන්නත් බෑ, හැමතිස්සෙම ඈත් කරන්නත් බෑ. So you should know කොයි වෙලාවටද ඒක හරියට කරන්න ඕනේ කියලා. Which countries have the best schools and universities? I don't know, but I really believe that UK, USA have the best schools and universities. Even Australia, New Zealand. But actually, the best education system is in Finland, right? So research has proved that Finland education system is the best, right? So what we perceive and what actually is could be really different. Is education only for the young? I don't think so. Education is for everyone. You can learn and educate yourself until you die. What do people learn when they're older? I think they learn different things. They could learn subject matter. They could learn way of life. They could learn about culture. These kind of things. Henry Ford said, anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or 80. Anyone who keeps learning stays young. Do you agree? I strongly agree. Right? අපි නිකන් මුකුත් ඉගෙන ගන්න එතකොට හරිම අවුට්ඩේට් නිකන් පරණයි වයසයි වෙනවා. හැබැයි අපි ඉගෙන ගන්නකොට එළියට යනකොට අලුත් ඉන්ෆර්මේෂන් එනකොට අපි හරි තරුණයි. Okay, I know this. So you're very up to date, right? So I believe this is true. What characteristics should a good teacher have? First and foremost, the teacher should be a good listener, should have the knowledge, should be able to inspire students, right? Should be able to motivate her students, should be qualified to teach the necessary subject content. Some people feel the education style of schools damages originality and creativity. What do you think? දැන් මමත් එක චුට්ටක් හිතනවා මොකද අපේ තියෙන හරිම සම්ප්‍රදායික අධ්‍යාපන ක්‍රමයක් සමහරක් වෙලාවට differently හිතන කරන දේවල් ළමයිගේ creativity චුට්ටක් නැති කරන්න පුළුවන්, right? සමහරක් teachers ලා ඉන්නවා they really identify it and they really encourage. සමහරක් අය ඉන්නවා ඕක කරන්න එපා කියලා ඒ ළමයාගේ තියෙන ඒ creativity එක නැති කරලා දානවා. So I feel that yes, some schools could actually damage it. ඒ මම හිතන විදිය මොකද මම දැකලා තියෙන දේවල් එක්ක. So it's up to you to think about it. How do you feel about tests and examination? Are they necessary? So research has proved yes and no, right? It depends on what you are trying to test. It depends on the age. It depends on the subject. So many factors you have to consider before you actually argue that this is right or wrong. ඉතින් ඔයගොල්ලෝ උත්තරේ දෙනකොට පොඩක් explain කරලා උත්තරේ දෙන්න. Coming to the last set of questions. Challenges of teaching virtually. Right? I think this actually came up with COVID-19 for us. අපි ඊට කලින් ලංකාවේ මේ virtually online උගන්වන්න එච්චර පෙළඹිලා හිටියේ නැහැ. අපි හැමතිස්සම කැමති ළමයියුත් හැමතිස්සම කැමති physically teacherව දකින්න. Right? But after the pandemic, everyone went online, including myself, and for me it was very different. මේ Zoom එකක් ඉස්සරහා උගන්වන්නයි record කරන්නයි. At the start I found it very weird, right? But with time I think we have all got used to it, and let's have a Zoom session. We're quite used to it now. How did education change during COVID-19 pandemic? I think it changed drastically. The Sri Lankan education system, which was not open to the virtual learning style too much, had to completely go online through different platforms. It was either Zoom or Teams. So I think it was new, but the change was quite good, and everyone was exposed to the world, and to see that technology could do such a lot was amazing. What were the biggest difficulties for teachers and students during this time? Teachers, it was getting used to this software, and how could they actually write and teach and make sure the lesson that they were doing was tangible. On the other hand, the students found it difficult to sit down and concentrate, and sometimes some students didn't have the necessary resources. Like they didn't have a phone or a laptop. They also didn't have an internet connection. So this made it really difficult for the teachers and the students to connect. And sometimes the internet connection was so bad that the teacher was trying to say something and then her connection goes and then she's reconnecting, and it made the lesson really boring. So students ultimately kind of, grew in a different mentality. Have the schools and colleges gotten back to the old way of teaching? I think yes, most schools have. Some private tutoring centers have actually a mixed teaching style now. They have physical and online at the same time. But overall, the schools have got back into their old physical teaching method. Okay, so I think we did a lot. Lesson එකේ ගොඩාක් කතා කරා. ගොඩාක් questions තිබ්බා. So if you don't practice, you're at a loss. ඒ හින්දා හොඳට practice කරන්න. මං ගොඩාක් questions දාලා තියෙනවා හොයලා. So it's very important for you to practice. Practice කරනකොට හිතන්න coherence, cohesion ගැන, linking words ගැන, vocabulary ගැන, pronunciation ගැන, grammar ගැන, intonation ගැන, hesitation ගැන ඔය ඔක්කොම හිතන්න කතා කරනකොට නිකම්ම වචන ටිකක් කතා කරන්න නැතුව ඔය හැමදේම හිතලා කතා කරන්න තමන් කතා කරන එක රෙකෝඩ් කරලා ආයි අහන්න මොනවද මට improve කරන්න පුළුවන් මොනවද වැරදි, right? It's very important for you to go back and review and hear what you actually spoke. So we've done a lot in this lesson. And with that, we come to the end of this lesson, education.